Hello everyone, Matt here from thevirtualinstructor.com, and today I want to talk to you about shading basics. Of course, adding shading and value is important to your drawings, so let's take a look at a few strategies and thought processes behind adding shading that will help improve your drawings today. Let's first review some of the application techniques for applying shading in a drawing, starting with hatching. Hatching is where the lines go in the same direction. The closer the lines are placed to each other, the darker the value. Then you have cross-hatching, where the lines cross over each other. The more that the lines cross over, the darker the value. Then there's blending, where you can create smooth transitions from darker values to light values, either by using a blending stump or adjusting the amount of pressure put on the pencil. Then there's rendering, where a large majority of the images are raced out, often used in conjunction with blending. And then don't forget random lines or squiggly lines. This is the quickest method to create shading in a drawing. And then, of course, you have stippling, where countless dots are used to build up darker values. Now, of course, all of those different types of shading techniques are incredibly important, but sometimes people get so absorbed in the technique that they use to apply the value that they forget the core concepts to understanding why we're adding shading in the first place. And the reason why we're adding shading is to create the illusion of light. So how do we create the illusion of light in a drawing? Well, it basically comes down to value and then the contrast in value. And if we get those right, then we can potentially create the illusion of a light source. We always need to consider where the light is originating from. Take this example. We have a light source in the upper left-hand corner of the sphere, and light is coming down from that light source. You can think of it as almost a series of lines. Light is emitting from the light source and hitting the sphere in various locations, producing locations of value, such as the highlight. And the highlight is the area on the object where light is most intense. The reflection of the light is most intense. Then you have the midtone, which is basically an area of middle value. Often the midtone is the local color of the object. Then there's the core shadow, which is the darkest area on the object. Then behind and underneath the object, we have the cast shadow. Cast shadows are locations of darker value that result on surrounding objects or surfaces. Light is blocked from reaching these areas completely because another object is reflecting much of the light away. Now, light emitted from the light source, of course, is reflected by the object, but some of the light is bounced off of surrounding surfaces and objects. Some even bounces back on the object itself, creating an area called the reflected highlight. This area of lighter value is just beyond the core shadow. Now let's put all of this into practice by creating a drawing of a sphere. We'll use blending as our application technique. Again, our light source is coming from the upper left-hand corner. So we'll concentrate on creating a smooth gradation of value from the darker values in the area of core shadow to the midtone, and then finally the area of highlight. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space for a reflected highlight. I'm using an HB pencil initially to apply the graphite, using small circles to create a smooth gradation of value. Then I'll go back with a softer graphite pencil. In this case, I'm using a General's Layout pencil, which is about equivalent to a 4B pencil. Between each layered application of graphite, I'll go back with a blending stump and create smoother transitions of value. I'll apply the blending stump using small circles just as I applied the graphite. I can also use a kneaded eraser to erase out any areas of highlight and then smooth that transition again from the highlight area to the midtone. Next, we can define the shape of the cast shadow behind and underneath the sphere. We'll use an ellipse to define this shape. Then with the HB pencil, I'll create a smooth gradation of value, again applying the graphite with small circles. Then with the blending stump, I can smooth out the transitions and the application. I'll also create a blurred edge around the cast shadow. I can also use the blending stump to smooth out any other transitions on the drawing, and then finally use an eraser to clean up the edges. Let's take a look at drawing an irregular form here with multiple planes. Again, we're going to need to consider the light source, meaning that the planes closest to the light source will be lighter in value and the ones further away will be darker in value. We want each plane on the form to be clearly defined. So we'll need to use a different value in each one of the planes in order to create this contrast. So we're going to have to really concentrate on contrast here. And when I refer to contrast, I'm meaning contrast in value. So once we've initially got several locations of value on the surface, we'll go ahead and define the shape for the cast shadow underneath. Of course, it'll be an irregular shape, just like the form. We'll smooth out the value applied in the area of cast shadow using the blending stump. Now, remember, we want to create a full range of value. So to help us create a full range of value, we need to understand what's happening with the contrast. Now, in this case, I'm going to add a black background. We can use this dark background and light surface that the object is sitting on to make comparisons so that we can have a full range of value on our object. So let's go ahead and add that black background. I'm just going to use a General's Layout pencil, which is about equivalent to a 4B pencil, and go ahead and darken that background. Immediately you can see that the values on our object are way too light, so we can push those values darker. So I'll go back with the HB pencil and make some of those values a bit darker. Now our irregular form starts to have a more three-dimensional appearance. But we can exploit contrast even further. By making some of the edges of the planes slightly darker, we increase the contrast between each one of the planes. This further enhances the illusion of form that we're after in the drawing. So now I'll go back into the drawing with an HB pencil and make the edges that are closest to the light source just a slight bit darker so that we can actually see the contrast between each one of the planes a little bit easier. This small little step goes a long way in further enhancing the illusion of form and the light in the drawing. But what about hollow forms? Many forms have recesses. Again, we need to consider the light source. Again, think of the light coming down in straight lines. Some of the light will enter into the recesses. What happens is when light enters into the recesses, it produces areas of lighter value on the opposite side of the light source. Light values on the outside part of the recesses are where you would expect them to be. The same is true for the darker values. In the areas of recess, darker values exist closer to the light source. And on the outside of the recess, darker values exist where you would expect them to be. So let's go ahead and finish off this hollow form here. Again, I'm using an HB pencil initially, making small circles to create a gradation of value from dark to light. Then I'll go back with a softer graphite pencil, in this case a General's Layout pencil, to make a broader range of value in the drawing. We'll define the area of cast shadow and fill it in using the HB pencil. We'll allow it to be a bit darker, closer to the object. And then using a blending stump, we'll blur the edges, finishing the drawing. So remember, shading is all about value and the contrast in value. And we use value and contrast to create the illusion of a light source. And remember, light emits from the light source, hitting the object in various locations, creating specific areas of value. We can also use contrast to ensure that we have a full range of value in our drawing. We can exploit contrast to create subtle changes in value to help further define the object that we're drawing. If you enjoyed this video and you're ready to learn more about drawing and painting, why not check out our comprehensive membership program at thevirtualinstructor.com, which includes great video courses, weekly live instruction, downloadable ebooks, and even lesson plans for teachers. Just click on the button in the corner to learn more now. You can also get 3 free course modules from our program. One from the Secrets to Drawing, one from Pastel Landscape Mastery, and a third from the Oil Painting Master Series. Each module includes a video and an ebook. To learn more about how you can get your free course modules, again, just click on the button in the corner. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel so you can get access to all of the new videos as we publish them. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your artistic journey.